My younger brother Ethan turned my life into a nightmare, then crossed an unthinkable line by getting my wife pregnant. Now, after our parents cut him off and left me their $2 million inheritance, he's begging for my help. Ethan always held a deep grudge against me, and no, it wasn't jealousy. Surprisingly, he had no reason to envy me. Growing up, Ethan was the golden child, doted on by our mother. She cooked his favorite meals, washed his clothes, and even expected me to help with his homework. I was just the helpful older brother, expected to support him without question. I didn't mind much being independent, but maybe I enabled him by never demanding reciprocity. Ethan never lifted a finger for me unless he needed something. I was the quiet, bookish type, while he was loud and aggressive, much like our dad. My blunt honesty might have rubbed our mom the wrong way, painting me as the problem child, despite Ethan's antics. He was the family's darling, and I was okay with that, until his bullying started. Ethan mocked my appearance, my height, my glasses, and even snooped through my journal, tattling to Mom about my private thoughts. When I confronted him, our parents brushed it off as boys being boys. He escalated, nearly breaking my glasses and slipping gross things into my meals like pebbles in my oatmeal. I caught it before any harm, but Mom dismissed it as sibling bonding. At school, Ethan joined my bullies, egging them on with cruel nicknames like Weird Geek or Freak Show, even urging them to rough me up. During one heated argument, he told me to end it all, a blow that hit hard since I was battling mental health issues. It crushed me, knowing my own brother wished me gone. Dad was often absent, and Mom blamed me for provoking Ethan. Things hit a breaking point in high school when Ethan tried to set my hair on fire. Mom called it playful, but Dad finally stepped in, threatening police action. That shocked Ethan, who'd never faced consequences. Dad admitted he'd hoped Ethan would outgrow his cruelty, but now saw him as a bully. Hearing Dad validate my pain nearly broke me. I poured out years of torment, including the school bullying. Dad took action, confronting the school principal to stop the bullies and enrolling me in MMA classes to build my confidence. A nerd like me learning to fight seemed absurd, but I threw myself into it, balancing studies and training. It transformed my body and mindset. One day, Ethan stole my chore-earned savings. I caught him sneaking off with his buddies and demanded it back. He taunted me, saying I'd just cried at Dad. Something snapped. I punched him, knocking him down, and grabbed my money. He wailed dramatically, and Mom rushed to coddle him, scolding me for not being a better example. But Dad backed me, telling Ethan he was lucky I didn't press charges for theft. Ethan threw a fit, screamed that he hated me, and locked himself away. After that, Ethan backed off physically but kept up verbal jabs, muttering "loser" or "dork" when our parents weren't around. His temper worsened with age, and he'd ignore me, communicating through Mom instead. She dodged my pleas for a family talk to resolve our issues, leaving me desperate to escape. I earned a scholarship to my dream college, and Dad threw a proud send-off party. Mom seemed happy, but Ethan barely acknowledged me. Leaving home felt like freedom, no more walking on eggshells. College was a fresh start, new friends, engaging classes, and peace from Ethan's toxicity. In my sophomore year, I met my wife, Sarah, at a campus party. We hit it off instantly. Coming from a conservative family, we planned to wait for marriage, but when Sarah got pregnant in our final year, we tied the knot post-graduation. Our small wedding was filled with joy, and I believed Sarah was my soulmate. I dreamed of a loyal, monogamous life with her, never straying despite other women's interest. She was my everything. I later discovered 2 instances of cheating in our marriage. One was a years-long on-and-off affair with Sarah's married colleague, and the other was a short-lived hookup with an old flame during a trip to her hometown. Some might call me gullible, and in hindsight, I can't entirely argue. Each time we took breaks, but I chose forgiveness. I didn't want our son growing up in a fractured family and believed we could rebuild. The colleague affair happened early in our marriage, and I chalked it up to youthful impulsiveness. For a while, things improved. Though trust was shaky, I pushed my doubts aside, committed to a true fresh start after forgiving her. It's been 4 years since her last betrayal, and I felt secure in giving her another shot. Sarah seemed transformed, and we were content, dreaming of our family's future. But 3 months ago, my life imploded when she confessed to a long-running affair and dropped a bombshell. Our son might not be mine. Her words hit like a wrecking ball, leaving me reeling in shock, heartbreak, and disbelief. Struggling to process, I stammered questions about why she hid such a devastating secret and how she could inflict this pain. Sarah's response was chillingly detached, as if my agony didn't register. Her vague answers only deepened my confusion. It was a gut-wrenching moment, facing shattered trust and uncertainty about my own child. I pressed Sarah for the truth, insisting I deserved to know who fathered the boy I'd raised. She finally admitted it was Ethan. My jaw dropped as I demanded clarity. She revealed that she and Ethan grew close when I brought her to meet my family, staying from Thanksgiving through New Year's. Ethan, typically icy toward me, was charming and kind to her, which I appreciated, hoping Sarah would feel welcomed. Sarah, eager to fit in, bonded with my mom often. She noticed the tension between Ethan and me and asked about it. I shared our toxic history, admitting our bond might never heal due to his unresolved resentment. Sarah sympathized but began inviting Ethan to our hangouts, thinking it could mend things. When we planned movie nights, she included him, letting him pick the films. Ethan and I exchanged a few words, progress from his usual silence. I saw them playing video games together, but it seemed innocent. Sarah later told me Ethan confided in her about his struggles, including a recent breakup. Feeling vulnerable, he formed a connection with her. She admitted he'd flirt playfully when I wasn't around, and things spiraled into an affair. Imagining my wife and brother together made my stomach churn. Sarah said guilt consumed her afterward, prompting her sudden departure before New Year's. Despite my pleas, she insisted on leaving. When we reunited at college post-holidays, Sarah acted normal, so I suspected nothing. 2 weeks later, she announced her pregnancy. She confessed she wasn't sure if the child was mine or Ethan's, but chose me, knowing I was the steadier brother. That's why we married. My world felt obliterated. The son I adored might not be mine. I asked if she'd been with Ethan recently, and she nodded hesitantly. She admitted they'd stayed in touch, drawn by undeniable chemistry, sneaking to hotels under the guise of late work shifts. Half her business trips were secret trysts with him. When I asked why she married me if she loved Ethan, she said she didn't want to end our marriage. She saw me as an amazing father and chose to stay, calling it a mistake she couldn't stop. I told Sarah I appreciated her honesty but was leaving. She sobbed, begging for forgiveness, expecting me to lash out. Instead, I calmly packed. She argued that if I loved her, I'd fight for us, claiming every marriage has flaws. When I stayed resolute, she warned a divorce would hurt our son, insisting kids need stable homes. I reminded her I might not be his father, which made her cry harder, accusing me of cruelty. She seemed convinced I'd never leave, perhaps because I'd forgiven her before. Though I loved her, it felt tied to believing we shared a son and our college history. Sarah pleaded it wasn't too late, but her words rang empty. Trust was shattered, and I had no patience left. Forgiving mistakes is human, but her betrayal with my brother crossed an unforgivable line. I left her sobbing at the door and checked into a hotel.